everybody. I know it has been a while since we've given any updates, any real updates other than pictures and little posts, and I apologize for that. We have been running non-stop, and it's good. God is working, but I just wanted to take a couple of minutes this morning. My family took the morning off from what's happening with Global Outreach. We were in Kabale, Uganda this week. It's Sunday when I'm recording. I don't know if I'll get this posted today or if it'll be tomorrow. But tonight's the last night of the crusade, so we just took the morning off. We came out here to Lake Bunyonyi. This is the deepest lake in Uganda. It's one of the crater lakes up in the mountains. It's the second deepest lake in Africa, and so we've never been this side of the country, so we decided to come and explore and just have a morning with the family to rest. And so just to kind of give a recap of everything that's been going on since we got back to Africa. I think most of you know we got here, and a week, 10 days after we got here, we had a team from Global School. They came, they did 2 big trainings of just supernatural ministry, how to hear God's voice, how to pray for the sick, how to cast out demons, how to operate in the gift of prophecy, and prophetic protocol, what that looks like. It was amazing. Some of our good friends, Apostle James Cowan and his team, were here the week before. They had done some big revival nights in Mbali. Since COVID, people are hungry. People are hungry for revival. And so when the Global School team came and started training, it was incredible. The pastors are saying, we believed revival came last week, and now you're teaching us how to steward it, how to carry it. And so some exciting things are going on back in Mbali. Shortly after that team left, we did other things with that team. We did some city outreach. They went and ministered to government leaders, local government leaders, some powerful things. They ministered with one of the high court judges in Mbali, and they said, hi, I can only give you 5 minutes. I don't have time. But when God started moving in her office, she said, we can take a little more time. Somebody in her office came in, one of the clerks came in and was just getting wrecked, and the spirit was laying on the floor weeping under God's power. So it was a really good time with Global School. A week after they left, I went to Brazil with Dr. Randy Clark, Dr. Heidi Baker, and Dr. Leif Hetland on a Global Awakening trip. My first time with Dr. Clark and his team. I've wanted to go for years, but this was the first time I felt peace that the Lord said, yes, I could go. And so I went, and it just happened to be the first ever missions conference that they've done. Usually they go and do healing schools and big healing outreach, but this one had way more impartation, way more raising up leaders for missions and casting the vision, and I loved it. There's an apostolic leader in the country named Pastor Abi. I didn't catch his other name. I should have. I think he's a 3rd generation missionary to Brazil. Huge apostolic discipling movement. They've planted dozens, if not hundreds of churches on a discipleship method, thousands and thousands and thousands of people in their church, but they do discipleship groups that multiplies. I was very encouraged. I felt like the Lord told me that I needed to go on that trip to learn, and I definitely learned. While there, they started praying over 5-fold leaders. I went forward with the apostolic leadership. They said if you oversee more than 12 or more than 20 churches, come forward and we're going to pray for you as an apostolic leader. I went forward. I wasn't really expecting much. I wanted the Brazilians to get touched, so every time a Brazilian would come, I was pushing them closer to Dr. Clark and the team. But man, I got blasted. When they prayed for me, it threw me to the ground, and I was bouncing and shaking in the ground. And I had received a word from a good friend that I was either going to receive a fresh impartation or God was going to stir up what's kind of been laying dormant in the past season, and that when I came back to Uganda, we were going to see those wells of revival being redug, that God was going to open doors. And in that moment of encounter, it was just a powerful encounter. I don't know how else to say it. It was one of those things that this hurts. This is the Holy Spirit was not being gentle, but it was good. And so I came back to Uganda, and again I got back. I was home for about a week, and then I came to Kabale and Mbarara. I actually came back with COVID from Brazil, so I missed the Kabale part of that trip. I was supposed to come to Kabale and to Mbarara to do discipleship training with the pastors, kind of the last, let's get really motivated for this mission. Went home to Mbali for a week, and then when I came back, We came back with the global outreach team. We have been running. We will finish Kabale tonight, but we've been here 2 weeks. The first week was door to door. The second week has been the crusade and conference. We're probably pushing, I haven't heard a count this week is my problem, but we're probably pushing 22 to 2,300 salvations here in Kabale. I know we have more than 1,900 in the system that gave us phone numbers for follow-up. We've mobilized the local pastors, following them up. They started following them up Saturday, trying to get them into church, getting them pushed towards discipleship groups and those things. And so I believe it's going to be a good thing. For those that don't know any history of Kabale or Uganda, back in, I believe it was the 60s, but I may be wrong about that, there was the big born-again revival in Uganda, and it started right here around Kabale and Rwanda, which is not too far in the border. The border's not too far. Massive revival started here, swept across Uganda. It was the big revival that brought, we might say evangelical, we might say Pentecostal, they call it the born-agains. And so that started here, but this area is still very heavy in Catholicism. In fact, in the crusade, there's a Catholic church right next door that while we're preaching and doing everything, they have loudspeakers aimed at the field, and they're trying to drown us out. Our system is much bigger than their bullhorn, but they're trying. So there is a lot of, there's a lot of religious spirit going on here. But I believe we're, like I said, redigging the wells of revival that are in this place. The pastors we've been working with, the local pastors fellowship, Kabale is a small town. I think there's about 22 pastors in the pastors fellowship. About 17 of them have been very active. The others have kind of been in and out. But I know discipleship's going to go on here. When I came last year to first cast the vision of discipleship before the second COVID lockdown, we had one of the pastors completely reoriented his church structure around discipleship. They're stepping out to plant a new church in another area nearby. And he's told the young man who they're sending out to plant, we're doing this with discipleship in mind from the beginning. We're not just going to go knock on doors and gather a crowd, but we want to do discipleship from the very beginning. So it's exciting here. Things are going on. There has been some spiritual oppression. I'm not going to go into all of that, but some spiritual dynamics that we're trying to overcome. There's a heavy religious spirit that's needing broken here. But it's good, and we've seen, I think, around 250 or more people healed. Most of them this week, about 25 that I know of last week, but most of them this week on the crusade grounds. So it's exciting. Tomorrow morning we will pack up. Our team has already started door-to-door outreach in Mbarara. We're doing 2 weeks of door-to-door there, and then the big crusade week. And so they started on Monday. I believe the number I received was about 1,600 salvations already this week in Mbarara through door-to-door. Next week we'll start getting closer to the central area in Mbarara, so we expect even more. I'm really expecting 6,000 or 7,000 salvations on door-to-door only, and then the big crusade. You can pray for us there. There is some political tension between pastors' fellowships. Mbarara is the second biggest city in Uganda, and so where we're coming from, Kabale, a small little town in the mountains that's nice and cold and beautiful and very relaxed, we're going to a bustling city. It's very stressful to drive there. Everything's spread out. Moving people is going to be a bigger challenge, but we have a bigger team. Be praying for that, because I'm praying we have a minimum of 10 to 15,000 saved by the end of the conference and crusade week. And so things are going incredible. Like, things are really moving. I feel like God's moving. After COVID, the ministry's coming alive. Revival is here. Immediately following Mbarara, I have a stopover in Kampala with Apostle Cowan's team and a man by the name of Dr. James Horvath's team are coming to plan for a nationwide campaign next August in 2023. Stay tuned. I'll send some details out about that, and we'll be putting some teams together if you want to be a part of that. I believe they're looking at August 2023, but they're going to do 5 major gospel campaigns, 5 cities all at one time. So he's coming to the end of Mbarara, and then we have a major meeting with some of the biggest evangelical and Pentecostal leaders in Kampala the following week to start planning for that. And then we go back to Mbali, and I have a lot of work to do getting back into the rhythm of Sozo pastors. We're looking towards our first pastors conference in 3 years, the first week of September, very end of August, coming into September, that week that crosses. And we'll have Youth Ablaze. We have some other stuff coming up, and so things are big. I'm also hoping to go to India, hopefully in October. So a lot of things are ahead. I just want to tell you, first of all, thank you for your support. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for funding. Thank you for all of you who enable us to do this. It's so exciting, and things are picking up. For those that are maybe considering supporting us, we need prayer. We need tons of prayer. Pray for everything we're doing. Pray for salvation. Pray for discipleship. Pray for raising up leaders. We need a ton of help in those areas. Second to that, I would ask you to pray very heavily about our finances. I know right now in America, inflation is killing everybody. Gas prices are killing everybody. But on the ground here, our finances are really taking a hit from it as well. We have our regular monthly support coming in that enables us to do the ongoing things, but we also depend a lot on one-time gifts, people that just randomly once a year, twice a year, or just out of the blue send us financial gifts, and it seems like those have dried up. We don't have that coming. Right now, the Global Outreach team, because funding has dried up for Global Outreach, there are some days they're working without eating. They're just deciding we're fasting today because we don't have money for food, and we've got to do what the Lord's called us to do. So we have issues with that. Vehicles are continually breaking down. Right now, mine has 2 seals on tires, 2 different tires. The seals that have the grease and the oil, whatever it is in there, is leaking. I've got an oil leak and another problem that have to be addressed tomorrow. I really don't have the funds for that. I'm having to pull from other projects. And you know, just our ongoing things, like we have our rent coming due in August, which we pay 6 months at a time. I've tapped into our stores. We don't have that. I don't have money for the pastors conference. Now, I'm not saying we're canceling those things. We have to do those things, but we're believing God's going to work it out. And I'm just asking you to pray about it. And if you're able to support us, we need help with those things. At the same time, just on the negative sides, probably our second biggest church, maybe the third biggest church that we have in Kenya, because of COVID stuff being shut down but having to pay rent, they just got kicked off of their property last week. We were looking for $700 to try to keep them on the grounds, but we couldn't come up with it in time, so they've been kicked off for back rent. They've taken a dilapidated old building that they're having to clean up and restore. It's fine. The church is moving. God's moving. I reminded them that the Azusa Street revival took place in a building that had been used as an animal stable, and so God's glory is not limited by location. But just letting you know, we did have that problem. Again, I shared a while back that our main church in Kenya, John Mwangi's church in Kenya in Juja, is being kicked off of their property in September. So we've got to have a new location for them by August. They did build their own building. It's a metal structure that can be torn down and moved, but we've got to secure land where to put it. We were hoping to buy, but with the economy the way it is, I'm not sure what it looks like. And so if God moves on your heart, I mean, just to be frank, and this is not a fundraising video for that, but we need $40,000 to $50,000 to get them a piece of land. So I don't know if that's possible. I feel like God said yes. So if he said yes, he'll do it. I'm not concerned, but we do have to get them moved in August, at least to a temporary home. And so there's a lot going on. I'm excited. Again, I'm not talking about finances to be a downer. I'm just telling you the reality where we are. God is moving. God is moving powerfully. We're getting so much fruit, and I'm so thankful for it. And I am so thankful for all of you who pray for us, who support us financially, who come and do the work with us. You guys make this possible. And I'm just asking, don't let up. Continue praying. Continue praying. Continue praying. And as God leads, if you feel led to cast the vision and help us fundraise, or God leads you to give, that would be amazing as well. But anyways, I'm so excited. I will get back to you after this mission, after we finish up Mbarara, and let you know exactly how many are saved. It looks like my kids are coming back. They've been down at the water just exploring, so I will jump off here for now. But thank you so much for your love, for your encouragement, for everything you do for us, and keep praying for us. Thank you.